pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a recipient of federal funds and in support of Dearborn County's efforts to ensure non-discrimination and equal access to all citizens, the county gathers statistical data regarding participants in county activities. Therefore, we have provided a voluntary Title VI public involvement survey at this meeting. You are not required to complete this survey, however, the form is anonymous and will be used solely for the purpose of monitoring our compliance with Title VI and ADA.
Thank you, Andrew. Old business, the ordinance of 2024-001 vacating the certain right-of-ways, easements, Verde Lane.
That's just our first one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it'll be 2024-001. This was reviewed last meeting. We had our public hearing last meeting. However, the survey still needed to be signed by the applicant or by the petitioner, and then also I had to get that ordinance together. So no changes between our last meeting and today. This would just be to formalize the request. And again, this is just a vacation of a right-of-way easement. It is not, so it doesn't affect anybody's property, like the size of their property.
Okay, Mr. Brooks, motion to approve ordinance 2024-001 vacating certain right-of-way easements.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business.
There you go.
Soil and water update, that's Carol, and Kenny Gummo with us.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to come and give you updates on what our office is doing. As I met with Ken in the hallway, he told me, don't talk about this because I'm going to give me something to talk about. But I did want to mention, we had 7 people from our office go to our annual conference in January. It was January 7th, 8th, and 9th. We had 4 supervisors, 1 associate, and 2 staff members attend. And we all went to different sessions, so we all came back with something different. And he's going to talk more about that. We have 2 new associates that have just joined our board, so that makes us have 15 people on our board now. I wrote a training reimbursement grant a couple weeks ago, I guess, for, from Indiana Grants Management System. And it was for $1,000. I got messages last week that was granted, so we do have extra money into our account for training purposes. Kyla is having a tree giveaway on April 26th at the Bright Meadows Park from 9 to 1. She's going to have white pine and persimmon trees there. We give them away free to Dearborn County members. And if you want to come and bring canned goods or monetary donations, those will go to the Dearborn County parks and the food pantries around the area if we get anything. And she's got packets of seeds here that she's going to be giving out too. They are a mix of snowy rain garden and says there's 1,400 seeds in there. She's also having a native plant sale on May 3rd. There's an online order that you can go through and order what kind of plants you would like. You can pick those up at our office on May 3rd. I'm sorry, the order is due by May 3rd and pickup is May 16th. That's a Thursday, and then Friday, May 17th from 7:30 to 5. And then last, we have our annual meeting. Oh, I'm also working on our annual report for our annual meeting. This is filled with all the stuff that we've done throughout the year. And the annual meeting, then, we've got flyers for that I can give you guys. You guys all get free tickets to go. It's March 14th at 6:30. And yeah, it is March 14th at 6:30 at Dearborn Adult Center. And Rolling Pin will be catering that. There is a guest speaker coming. His name is David Mao, and he's going to do a presentation on mushrooms, how to fix them, how to go out and harvest them, and he's going to be the guest speaker. So I'd like to give you guys free tickets and flyers for that too. And we're gonna be giving away these little free things at our meeting too. This is a calendar of the whole year, and then this is just a little notebook that has our emblem on it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Ken.
Oh, you get to hear from me next.
Oh, really? I was hoping we were done with you.
Just a couple things. Really just kinda- So I'm Ken Gunkel, the proud chair of the Dearborn County Stormwater Conservation District. And, to follow up on a couple things that Beth talked about, and then add a couple of little tidbits. She mentioned the annual meeting. We were notified by our new senator, Randy Maxwell, that he plans on attending. So, we normally, some of you get to attend, but this is the first time we get somebody from the state legislature to attend. At least he says he's gonna be there, we'll find out. Beth mentioned about our associates and everything. We moved one associate, one supervisor to an associate position, Eric Callahan, because of his farm. He needs to, at this time of year, kind of step back off the board, because he gets a little busy with his farm work now. But Tom Gainer, who you might know, Gainer Ridge, was one of our associates, and he's moving up to take Eric's position. I just kind of like to make sure you know who the players are. One of the other things that I'll mention is that this past weekend was the Home and Garden Show, and we had a booth there. And my wife and I went yesterday afternoon. The attendance was a little light, but I talked with the person who was manning our booth, and they said that Friday and Saturday was much more crowded, so that's good. And then the last thing I'll mention is that we always have the FFA from East Central on our board invited, and they come and ask us for a donation, so we get calendars. I was hoping to have extra ones to give out, but all of them were taken. But so I asked Roy Johnson if I could get some more. When I do, I'll bring some down so you guys can get one. I know you need another calendar. Any questions?
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Okay, One Dearborn 2024 agreement, Mike Oliver, Executive Director of One Dearborn. Sir, good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Someone that's involved in the base agreement. You have a copy of it? I got a special copy. We got it. Okay, great. Just got a prepared. A couple pieces of information I'd like to present today, but again, the first one being the 2024 Economic Development Services Agreement for One Dearborn to the Dearborn County Board of Commissioners. It's pretty standard, the same we had in place last year. Just get the refresh on the dates here to cover us for 2024. Any questions about that?
I don't have any. No questions.
Okay. It has been executed by our board president, Mark Graber. If you'd like the vote on acceptance of that, I can have you sign it and leave a copy of this soon.
You want us to vote on this?
If you have to. Yeah. I'll work with your attorney.
Yeah. Okay. Motion to approve the Economic Development Service Agreement as presented by, Mike Oliver.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I thought you had additional information.
I do. Just
Okay.
want to make sure I got that out of the way first,
All
sorry.
right, no problem.
He wasn't gonna get you if you.
There you go. All right, so the information I passed out is regarding the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs Stellar Pathways Program. You may recall, back in 2019 and years prior, Oprah had the Stellar Communities Program. And in the last 2 years that that program existed prior to COVID, the two awardees were countywide initiatives for this. Just in a very brief kind of nutshell of what this program is, I would kind of equate it to a single county ready initiative. For ready's been more regional, multiple counties and communities working together. This would be focused on one single county. the information there, from the announcement that Okra put out, along with Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch back on January 23rd. Lead applicant must be either a county government or a county nonprofit leader. We have kind of engaged with some local leadership across our municipalities in the county to kind of gauge interest in pursuing the Stellar Pathways program here in 2024, or perhaps in future years if the program were to continue at Okra in 2025 and beyond. But essentially what this program does is it provides set-aside funding for participating communities and also gives some technical assistance direct from 6 or 7 state of Indiana agencies. Those agencies including Indiana Department of Natural Resources, Indiana Destination Development Corporation, INDOT, Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, Indiana Department of Health, Indiana State Department of Agriculture. So, and the gist of what that funding should go toward would be quality of life and quality of place type projects. There's a 10 to 20% match requirement to participate in Stellar Pathways. That 10 to 20% can be split among the participating communities, so only local governments who would be willing to participate in this would have to share in that 10 to 20%. So if we had multiple local governments assisting, they would kind of split up what that match requirement is, if not 10 to 20% each, but 10 to 20% for our county as a whole, if we were to participate. On second to last page, you can see the set-aside funding for Stellar Pathways, $8 million from Okra for community development block grants, $3 million from INDOT for the Rural Federal Aid Program, $1.5 million for Community Housing Development Organization, $75,000 from the Department of Health, $100,000 from the Indiana State Department of Agriculture, $50,000 to $100,000 for marketing and in-kind services from the Indiana Destination Development Corporation, which is tourism related activities. So not really looking for an answer today on this and whether the county would like to participate. We're just kind of feeling out from various local governments in our county if there's interest in participating or exploring this program. There are a series of 2-day seminars that Okra is hosting that our one Dearborn staff is planning to attend one of those coming up later this month or in March to learn more about the program and what all is required. As far as the timeline, which is touched on in the print-off I gave you, letters of intent for communities wanting to pursue Stellar Pathways will be due May 1st. So we'd probably like to know around mid-April as far as which local governments in Dearborn County may like to participate in this. Then also, so I kind of led with lead applicants for this program must be either a county government or a county nonprofit leader, which could be a community foundation, economic development organization, chamber of commerce, think of organizations like that. So we'll pause there if you have questions about it.
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm getting at, what my question would be is, if the county chooses not to participate, can a nonprofit then participate and have the matching fund? Or does the government entity have to come up with the matching fund?
The community as a whole would have to come up with the matching fund. So it could be foundation chipping in or some other sources besides just the local government.
Okay.
But if there are quality of life and quality of place projects that Dearborn County might have in its pipeline, this might be a good opportunity to bring significant matching funds, funds from the state.
How many
For those types
representatives,
of projects.
how many representatives could we have? Do we have, one from a nonprofit, one from the government?
Yeah, I mean, you could have, any municipality in the state. It'd be a collaborative effort.
Okay.
So you got 3 cities, 4 towns, and a county government in Dearborn County. Any or all of those, would be welcome to participate.
Okay, so if the county decided to participate and the local municipalities decided not to, then the rewards would go to the county to be used as, or do we need to share?
I think there needs to be at least one municipality within the county.
Okay, good to know. Right.
Well, what was the number, what was the amount of money we were talking about?
Well, it's on the back.
So it's on one of the, I think the second to last page, kind of lists the
There's a break.
state agencies and the funding that would be available from each.
Okay,
All right,
Split 92 ways.
okay.
I just want to make sure I understood.
Well, there'll be 4 finalist communities that are accepted into the program after submitting the LOI.
Okay.
And from those 4, 2 will be selected to be official stellar designees.
Okay, so it's a competition to get
It is a competitive program.
2 out of the state.
Yep. And so to be the most competitive, looking at the last, again, stellar kind of ceased after 2019, but in 2018 and 2019, 4 winners in those 2 years were each county-wide collaborative efforts. So I think to be the most competitive for stellar pathways, it would have to be probably
So the letter,
significant participation from across the county. Maybe not everybody, but if you can get a critical mass of local governments willing to participate in this, then I think we can see Dearborn County become competitive.
so the only thing needed by me is a letter of intent.
Letter of intent is due to Okra by May 1st.
Is that it? I mean, there has to be additional,
Well, we'd have to have a partnership in place for the letter, I would think.
Yeah, and that's, so the county doesn't want to be the lead coordinator, county government. We have a economic development organization, which we feel pretty good about our capacity at One Dearborn to coordinate that if there is desire from across the county.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question, if you could coordinate.
that kind of works. Why don't you, get with us and we'll
Sure.
see how to proceed.
Great.
All right.
All right, before I go, I'll have you sign our agreement here, sorry. There's 2 copies, one for you. I do have an attested line on there, should you sign that?
The clients on that. All right, thank you, Mike. Okay. Mr. Sullivan, Emergency Management, Director.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have, 2 travel advisories that we put in place. I need to get ratification on those. The first one was January 6th, 2024 at 8:30 PM. 8:30 a.m. We went under a yellow travel advisory. It was lifted the next day at 11 a.m. Need approval to approve this, or motion to approve this.
Okay.
You don't have to, you can do them together if they're fine with it.
Let's do them both.
Okay, and then the second one was, January 19th at 8 a.m. And it was lifted January 23rd at 10:30 a.m. Again, a yellow travel advisory.
Anything else?
That's all I need for these, and then I got another piece of.
Okay, we're done with this.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Brooks, motion to approve the declaration of travel advisory for the, events that happened on January 6th, January 7th, and also on January 19th and on the 23rd, as presented by, Jay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Got it.
The other thing I have is it's a salary agreement for our EMPG salary grant for 2023. This would give permission for President Thatcher to sign, or electronically sign this through IGMS. Grant amount, I believe, I don't know the exact amount, I think it was 39,000.
You said 23, it's 24, isn't it?
No, this covers last year's.
Just that, okay.
Yeah, so this is to So the county pays out the grant, and then this is a reimbursement for last year's funds. We applied for it in '23, but it doesn't pay out for the fund.
Okay, any questions about the, all right, Mr. Goodwin, motion to approve the EMPG salary grant agreement as presented. July.
Second.
Jason Sullivan, thank you guys. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, yearly update by Mr. Stephen Stetter, Animal Control Director.
All right, good morning. So I gave you guys a packet of this earlier. So what we start with, this is the total for the year of, all the runs that we have done. Now, this is just the runs, not total blank calls. This is strictly what we went out and did. The second page following that is more of the monthly breakup. So you can see more like where our busy months were versus other ones. Didn't have near as many after-hour emergencies this year. I consider that a blessing. Means we're being more proactive because our total runs were more, but I did crack down on citations a little more this year than what we had in the past. I've done a big hit on the rabies. Found a lot of people that weren't making sure their rabies vaccination was up to date. I noticed the issue in the county, it's not so much people are just neglectful in getting it done, it's more people don't realize that it is a state law to have it done. So I've got something in the works trying to figure out how I can get a notice out to the entire county to have people get a rabies vaccine. Once we get that done, then we can proceed on with the dog licensing, because in order to obtain a dog license, you have to have a rabies vaccine. So the next page after that goes into detail of our emergency and our after hours runs. Now I worded it that way because we are only on call every 3 weeks. So if there is an emergency outside of somebody being on call, typically I take over for that. I'll go out if nobody's on call. So we didn't have anything for the month of March as well as the month of May. So I did not put those months on there. Typical calls we get after hours is usually if there's a arrest, someone's got an animal in their vehicle, deceased persons. Those are our two biggest after hours emergencies that we get. On the next page, I've got a summary of our vehicle status. Now, we did come about a new vehicle that I requested for last year. It is currently in the process of being outfitted. I'm hoping to have it done with the outfitting and received by the end of February. Once I receive it from the outfitting, then I can get the decals and everything put on it after that. So I'm hoping it'll be in full ready-to-use ability by the end of March at mid-April. We've had a lot of issues out of that F-250 truck last year. Has not been driven since February. I've had multiple mechanics look at it. Nobody has any idea what's wrong with it. So I pretty much decided we'll just get with Shane McHenry to have it sent over to Luke so that get it auctioned out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Yep, so I just gotta get with him when he gets back from his vacation about, getting that done this year. Our older Ford Explorer still runs. It's in pretty rough condition, but I'm willing to drive it until the tires fall off on that thing. Has no air or heat, so we cannot use it in extreme temperature conditions. But mechanically wise, with the motor and everything, it's running fine. Just the air in it, the cold and hot air is not working in it. Our van, that's our, the Econoline, that's our trap vehicle. So what that means, we have large traps that we have to use to contain dogs that we can't get our hands on, that are basically feral. So, and that's the only vehicle that can house those traps, because we have one that's 8.5 feet long and one that's 6 feet, so the Explorers can't carry that. It's in rough condition, running rough, but again, it's a very rare case vehicle. We used it 4 times last year. So that was less than what we used the year before. The year before, we used it 12 times. So that's the only sole purpose of that. Dog licenses.
On your vehicles?
Yeah.
I think in the next budget cycle, you should probably look to replace the first 2.
Yeah,
Identify that to the council.
Yeah, I've actually been considering, I would be okay with just 2 for our fleet. If I could, I'm thinking about a new van for the trap vehicle, and then we can also get that to where it can have four-wheel drive capability for some of our back areas that we got, because we use it for trap and for large, situations where we have anything over $5. Because the Explorer, the outfitting that I have done on it now, they can actually separate contain up to $5 in it. So anything beyond that, that's what the van and truck was used for. So my goal is to get a new van next, and if we can do that, the older Explorer can go, and then we can get rid of the old van as well.
Well, look at that in your budget for 25.
Okay, will do. Any other questions on the vehicles?
No.
Dog licenses now, again, like I said, I cracked down on the rabies this year. I was not as hard on dog licenses because rabies is more an important factor, because we have to get that done first before dog license. If we can get everybody rabies vaccine done, then it'll be easier for us to obtain a dog license. Now, with that being said, we still collected 130 total licenses. That was about the same number as what we had last year, so it wasn't, even though I didn't focus it as hard, we were still pretty consistent with it. We only did 30 through animal control, but 100 of them was done through polls, because every time they adopt a dog out, it comes with a dog license for the county. The kennel licenses, so we did 8 kennel licenses, which was the same number as the year before, but we did have a couple new licenses, so that's why the value is increased, because we made that change last year where it was $200 now instead of $50. The new kennels was for boarding kennels, because we had that added last year, that now boarding kennels are required to have a kennel license. That used to not be a thing. So now our boarding kennels, that's gonna be a hard process getting them all on board at the same time. I'll be able to get one last year, that was my goal. If I can get one in compliance each year, we only have 3 now. So I'm hoping by 2026 we'll have them all ready to go. And other than that, that's all I got.
And I'll say too, a few years ago, we adopted an ordinance that allows us to file ordinance violations in city court, and that's been going very well. As you know, our animal control ordinance has a grace period in it where, if somebody issued a ticket, they have 2 weeks to pay the ticket through the animal control office, and that's intended to limit the number of ordinance violations for animal control violations that we have to file in the city court. But even if a case gets filed, they are still given an opportunity to pay that, but now it's gotta include the court costs, because we've initiated the case. So it's worked very well going through city court. The courts here are just so slammed, things happen quicker through city court, but also, giving that opportunity even after the case has been filed, including the added court costs, has, limited how often we have to get over there and actually go to court with the Honorable Joseph Johns. So it's worked out really well.
How much is court cost over there?
130. Yes, I think 134.
Still a little rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in pursuant to the interlocal that we have with the city, that's 50-50 on the court costs, is how it's split between county and city. I think all the municipalities use, Judge John's court now for their fees. It works really well.
Any other questions? I got one. Remember the, incident where the gentleman had peacocks?
That was when we were in court.
Running around with
So
them.
that's been,
They wanted to put up a curb sign.
that is a very interesting situation, because we've never had a situation with peacocks like this.
That's not happening.
What's the issue?
He has over
Okay.
60 of them.
It started with
Another
2.
one,
Yeah.
They were all over.
It started with 2.
Over 15 years, it's multiplied.
It's
So-
up on York Ridge.
Okay.
So I spoke to a lot of the other neighbors after speaking to you, because something didn't sit right with me. No surprise, none of the neighbors were okay with it. Now, they didn't want to come forward and complain about it, but at the same time, they're like, well, we just don't want these birds in our yard. They get on our cars, they scratch our cars, they scratch our houses, everything else. So, the problem is, what are you gonna do with 60 peacocks? I mean, there's no containment protocol for it. They are considered an invasive species. I was doing a lot of research. Once they get to that number, they can be an invasive species. There's a study in California that was done that they have the similar issue, but it's on a much larger scale, because they let it go for so long. But
they'll eat all of the insects and other local bugs there, and what it does, it kills off local wildlife. So they have 3 birds that have gone extinct because of peacocks eating all the food resource. So we got with Judge Johns about it, and again, we can't just go and take them, because there's no way to do it, plus you gotta have somewhere for them to go. We can't just go and take them and put them down somewhere. So it's a very lax thing with, the guy's name is Mr. Ross, to where he's trying to.
We had a public case, I mean,
Yeah.
we had court case. He was very nice, and one of the neighbors did come. And said,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very nice, he's just, I think he was at a loss himself what to do because of how out of hand it is. And they do have some ability of flight, right? So like just.
Yeah, they have full
putting up
ability of flight.
fencing, just putting up fencing can't contain that.
Yeah, they have full ability of flight, but we worked out an agreement where he just works with us, gives me an update every few months on what he's doing to try to deter the population. The first thing I'd mentioned to him is he used to let them just lay eggs, hatch, and then he would even care for them. I said, you gotta stop that, no more. So he's been collecting eggs, getting rid of the eggs. He said he's already gotten rid of about 20 of them. There's I guess a sale barn in Brookville. I don't know much about it.
That's where it started.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Because he had a male that he thought was lonely, and he got a female from the sale barn. And here we are 15 years later.
So he got rid of he said about 20 of them that way. Then he has another friend that he got paired to. I said, as long as they're not in the county, we're good. So he said he's hoping, and he said there was a lot of them have died this year. So he's going to take another count this spring when they start working their way in to the house, because they're all over Yorkridge. They're not just on his property. They actually will stay up in the trees and roost on other people's property. But he said usually around springtime and the end of winter, they'll kind of congregate to his house and start laying it. So he's gonna give me a good head count then and try to get hold of more of that.
Okay, would the zoo consider taking them?
I told him to reach out, but I doubt it. I mean, they've probably got so many hoops and ladders you gotta go through to get them animals.
Okay, all right, well, part of it was a safety issue, that the birds were ending up on the road.
Yeah.
And either the bird was gonna get it, or it could cause some rattles.
Yeah.
All right, keep up the work on that.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Todd's not here, so somebody present. Here, Todd?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
they unexpectedly had more tech review cases today than they thought, so he asked if I would present if he.
Okay, we're gonna present for the 2024 paving contract.
Yeah, so a couple of meetings ago, the commissioners awarded the bid to O'Mara for the 2024 paving. And that contract was in the amount of $1,875,555. And today I have, the contract to be signed. It only needs to be signed by Jim. So if you agree to sign the contract, I have 3 copies that need to be signed.
Okay, anything else?
I've got another one after this.
Okay, Mr. Probst, motion to approve contract agreement for Dave O'Malley Contracting for the 2024 paving.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So I need your signature on all 3. Second thing that I'm presenting for him is a quote for, Bridge 218, Lower Billsboro Road, an invert, whatever an invert placement is. And you have that in your packet. It is the total cost of $43,199. $150. And if you agree to this, then Jim just needs to sign it also.
Okay, this is just, he's gonna pour a new concrete floor in the existing multi-plate structure just to, keep it passable until they can actually replace the bridge. So, motion to approve McAllister Excavation Company contract to provide Bridge 218 Lower Dearborn Road and a verdict replacement at the cost of $43,150. Mr. Goodman.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I think so.
Thank you.
And I also have
You doing
the,
the nurse and doctor agreements?
yeah, I'm doing that also for you now. The contracts are the same, except they have increased. The doctor this year went from 11,500 to 11,500, yes, 15,000. And then the nurse increased from 13,000 to 15,000. And you all three need to sign these if you agree to the doctor and nurse contracts for 2024.
And those are for the
The
juveniles.
juvenile center, sorry.
Mr. Brooks, any questions?
I'm assuming that the nurse visits more frequently, but if he or she is getting the same fee as the physician.
I would only have to assume yes. I think the nurse is there.
I would
Yeah,
too.
right.
Yeah.
All right, then, Mr. Goodman, motion to approve the nurses agreement for 2024 as presented by, Ms. Hayden.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And, signatures, yeah, those from everybody.
You take a picture of that, update.
I thought that I would make it next time, so that, if you're fine with it, unless you wanna wear a jacket, the other guys live up. You guys have some kind of a funeral,
Picture for what?
the website, because Alan's not on there.
He might be fine today,
I see that there might.
Drop them out from the council building.
Yeah.
I did, we did council, Cameron sent me a picture, so I've got council updated.
Head on Art's body.
Yeah.
Do you know how to do that, Cameron? What's that?
Put out
Photoshop?
head on Art's body.
Sure.
All right, the, next item is the ordinance to amend the, capital asset policies.
You want to take it?
It doesn't matter.
Capital asset policy was put in place in 2004. So this is our 20th annual, our first annual, 20 years later.
Changing it.
Update of the capital asset policy. And Connie and Leah went through it, and I went through it, and there was some errors here or there that were replaced also, or fixed also. But I don't, if you wanna talk.
Well, it was, we wanted to raise the threshold from 500 to 5,000, because it was just ridiculous having to put all this stuff. And there were two other things, concerning the IT. We're gonna have Ramsey report to us yearly, you know, the inventory, what he has. Same with the sheriff's weaponry.
Weapons,
whatever
yeah.
it is, yeah. And he's gonna report to us what he has. It's easier doing that than us to, we don't understand weapons or the IT, so if they can give us a list of what they have, then we can update that. I think it's every 2 years, actually.
So we've been capitalizing everything at
$500,
$500.
yeah.
And it was a big list.
Yeah,
It would have been, yeah.
and again,
Years
this was
ago,
put in
we had
place,
to do every stapler, every tape.
and again, this was put in place 2004.
So you feel that $5,000 is enough?
Yeah, you wanna go 10,000? No, and what I did is I got quite a few, policies in from other counties, and they're either at 5,000 or 4,000 at the very, very least. We thought 5,000 was.
5,000 makes a lot of sense.
That's reasonable.
And maybe we can look at it every so many years instead of waiting 20 years.
That'd be a good idea.
So it would be a motion to approve ordinance 2024-002, an ordinance to amend the capital asset policy, which is section 37.09 in our code of ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Do you have a clean copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jim, if I could give my update, I just got told I need to go get a sick kid from school.
Yeah.
Okay, so legislative sessions at the halfway point, just a couple things. One of the things I pointed out to Nicole and Bill is House Bill 1108 deals with our ability to restrict developments on a slope. I think our ordinance is 20%. This one would prohibit restrictions on anything less than 25%. So it would be a state standard that is more lenient than our current county standard. Senate Bill 129 deals with police officers being hired, going to training at one agency and being hired away by another agency. A lot of police departments have started using training reimbursement agreements to combat this. In those situations, the officer is responsible for repayment if they leave. This bill, Senate Bill 129, would make the unit responsible. So if you were to if the sheriff were to hire somebody, train them, get them set up with body armor and all this, and then they were hired away by Greendale, Aurora, or wherever, that unit would be responsible for reimbursing the county for those costs. That works both ways. The issue is right now the reimbursable costs include the police officer's first year base salary. So we initially thought that the base salary would be removed from reimbursable costs. However, talking with Jake, he said there's a certain camp that wants to make it almost financially impossible for this poaching of police officers to happen. So that language is still in there. In speaking with some other people about it, the point was brought up, what if we're not poaching someone? What if an officer just doesn't like the situation they're in and decides to leave on their own? There's no distinction for that, and I don't know how you make a distinction for that. So that's Senate Bill 129, just something to keep an eye on. And then finally, House Bill 1019, House Bill 1019, would prohibit HOAs from restricting lemonade stands. Jim, sorry, you cannot complain about lemonade stands in Hidden Valley anymore. But just know that children are being protected at the state level.
Okay.
That's my fun one this year.
I have a question
Lemonade stand.
about the lease leaving and going poaching. What, is that just for 1 year?
It's a 3-year period. It
3
comes
years.
down, it's 100% if you take the first year, 66% second year, 33% third year. It did pass out of the Senate, 46-0. So it is on to the House. The session starts back up on the 12th of this month. So we're at the halfway point right now. Anything that has not passed out of its respective chamber is dead at this point.
Questions about anything?
Yeah.
All right, thanks for the update. Go pick up your.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I will,
All
try
right.
to get a hold of me if you need.
All right, I do have a question. Do you know what you can get back to me today
Mm-hmm.
about our situation?
Yeah, you can give me a call.
Okay. Ms. Fromhold, claims?
Yeah.
Mr. Probst, motion to approve claims.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Payroll?
Yes.
Mr. Goodman, motion to approve payroll.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Kathy.
Yes, good luck.
In the minutes.
Yeah, January 16th.
Mr. Probst, motion to approve the January 16th, 2024 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second. I wasn't here. I wish I was back where I was. And Mr. Probst, any commissioner comments?
None.
Thank you. Mr. Goodman.
I'd just like to commend the, highway department on the great job they did last month. I received several, positive comments from the general public, and I think they done a great job, and have told them so when I see them, and will tell all of them that when I see them. I was very impressed.
All right, thank you for that. I don't have any comments today. Does the public have any comments? Yes, sir. You want to step up here, please? Just tell us who you are and.
My name's Harlan Burlich. I live at 18725 State Road 1. I was just wondering if there was a monetary number associated with the agreement with One Dearborn.
Is there a
Yes.
monetary? Yes.
Yeah.
20,000.
20,000? Is that through the whole year?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And Mr. Probst, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.